Okay, let's start right here. This should be the bottom of the second page of your notes for this section. We're going to skip ahead a little bit to these problems. So, the next thing we want to talk about, here's a logarithm. It's base 2, as we talked about in the last video. And what if I came to you and I said, I want you to figure out what log base 2 of 8 is without a calculator. Just solve it on your own in your head. You'd probably look at me and be like, Mrs. Johnson, you're crazy. I can't do that in my head. I don't even know what that means. Well, that's because right now, this is written in what we call logarithmic form. And because logarithms are so new to you, you're not really used to logarithmic form and how to solve these problems yet. They're brand new. So we actually have a process that we can use. It's 2 steps that will translate this logarithmic form into exponential form. And exponential form is something that you've seen before. It will look much more familiar. So this is the first thing we're going to learn to do. It's going to really help us solve these problems. So we're going to start right here. Our first step is the base stays the same. Excuse me. So this is a log base 2. So when we go to write our exponential, which is something to the something equals something, the base 2 here becomes base 2 on our exponential. The base stays the same. Step 2, because these are inverses, we're going to do an inverse thing where we're going to flip the input and the output. Because that's what we do for inverses. So, for example, right now, this 8 is inside the log. It's an input. So I'm going to flip it to be outside my exponent. So now it's an output. This x was outside the log. I'm going to flip it to be inside my exponent. So essentially what we're saying, log base 2 of 8 equals x is the same exact thing as 2 to the x equals 8. Those are the same equation. It's just this one is written in log form and this one is written in exponent form. And if you look at it, 2 to the x equals 8, that's a lot easier to solve for because we're used to that. That is 2 to what power equals 8. So then I can start to think, well, 2 to the first power is 2. 2 squared is 2 times 2, which is going to be 4. 2 cubed is 2 times 2 times 2, which is going to be 8. So that x right there is going to be 3, because 2 cubed is 8. Which means I can go back up here and say log base 2 of 8 equals 3. I can now figure that out because it's much easier to figure it out in exponential form than it is in logarithmic form. So what I want you to do next is to pause the video, use these 2 steps to write B and C in exponential form, and then see if you can solve both of them from there. So pause the video and try out B and C on your own. Welcome back. Let's see how you did. So if we look at B, step 1, the base stays the same, so base, base. Step 2, the input and the output flip places, so I should get 7 squared equals x. So if x equals 7 squared, well, 7 squared is 49, so check. For C, the base stays the same. The input and the output flip places. So I should get x cubed equals 125. Well, to get rid of a cubed, we do a cube root. So the cube root of 125, which you can just type into your calculator, is 5. So that is the basics of turning logarithmic equations into exponential equations. In the next video, we'll practice this turning it into exponential a little bit more, and we'll talk about going the other direction from exponential to logarithmic.